All right, welcome to lab number 10. Asynchronously process messages by using Azure Service Bus queues. All right, so we're going to take a look at Service Bus queues, and then we're going to write an application that will publish messages into that queue, and then another application that will then subscribe and read those messages or receive those messages from that queue as well. Fairly simple architecture for this fairly simple lab. So let's quickly take a look at this. And what we need first is the service bus. There we go. And then here what we want to do is create a namespace for our application. I already have a resource group here. You might want to create one if if you're doing this in your own environment. Then the name is going to be SB namespace with some random stuff at the end. I'm going to use East US here, and the pricing tier is just going to be basic. We don't need a geo replication, so just review and create. All right, so we're done. Now we're going to use a shared access key to be able to identify ourselves against this. And that can be found under the settings part here with shared access policies. And we're now just going to use the root access key. In reality, you might want to use separate keys for reading and writing. So let's take the connection string here and paste that over into a new file. We're going to need that later. Then under entities, we have queues, or we don't have queues, so we need to create one. And let's call it something simple like message queue, and keep all of the rest of the configurations as standard. And now we have a message queue. So next up, let's create some code. So again, there is a ready-made directory structure here. Labs10 starter, and we're starting off with the message publisher. Okay, so let's open that folder, and then I forgot to copy paste this, or copy it, sorry. Try again. 10 publisher. There we go. And then just create quickly that new text file with our key. All right, the directory is empty. So let's just create a new terminal and then create a new project in here. .NET new console. I'm going to use .NET 8. I'm going to name it message publisher, and I want it to be created here. All right, that's done. Then let's add the package required for messaging. So Azure messaging service bus. And in this lab, I'm going to use a specific version 7.13.7.17.3. That's done. So let's just do a quick build to see that everything is okay. Cool. So let's take a look at our code. So first of all, I'm going to get rid of the template here. And then we're going to copy paste the code from the lab instructions. And let's try to take a look at what is going on here. So in the beginning, we're importing the service bus package. And then we need the connection string here. Okay, so that's something that we have over here. Let's copy and paste. There we go. Then, oops, queue name, how many messages we want to send. Then we're going to create a service bus client and service bus sender. And then we're using service bus message batch. So using a create message batch async command here. There we go. And in that batch, we're going to add messages one by one. So message 1, if it doesn't succeed, it's going to give us an error exception. The message is too large to fit into the batch. And then in the end, we're going to say, okay, the batch of number of messages has been published to the topic or the queue. And then we can get rid of the clients. All right. Should be interesting. So let's save this. And then go back to the terminal. And then we just use .NET Run. It will automatically build the changed source code. Okay, and it says a batch of 3 messages has been published to the queue. Great. So how can we make sure? Well, let's go back to our message queue over here and click on it. And down here, what can we see? Active 3 messages. So that's cool. So we have 3 messages. We can see that there was a spike of requests. So that one request that we made. There's a nifty tool here called Service Bus Explorer on the left-hand side. You can use to peek at messages. So over here, you can see if you want to be in peek or receive mode. So we are currently in peek mode, and then we can peek from start. Okay, so that should give us all 3 messages. Now, peeking means that we're basically looking at the messages without actually consuming them. So they haven't been delivered. That would be a different thing. Okay, so there are the 3 messages. If we click on one of them, then down here we can actually see the contents of it, which is just message with the number. And similarly, we could take a look at message number 2, and it is message 2. Okay, so the messages are in the queue. So let's go back and get rid of this one and open a new folder. And this time we want the message reader. I need to copy the key again. I always forget that. All right, so now we can kill this. Then folder, message read. Right, and again putting in the key or the connection string first. And then exactly the same thing, but now for the receiving end. So a new console application framework net 8.0. Name is going to be message reader. I'm going to put it here. Similarly, we need that package and package Azure messaging service bus. And there I got the specific version 7.17.3. Great, that came from the cache. And then let's just check that everything works. All right, that's cool. So next up, let's create our program. Again, copy pasting from the instructions. So we have a similar architecture here. So in the beginning, again, we're referring to the connection string. So let's copy paste that one in so that we can authenticate like that. The message queue name is the same one. We're going to create a client and processor down here in the main task or message handler task. Oh no, sorry. Down here in the main task. So let's first go through the main task. Okay. So we're going to create the client, but this time instead of a sender, we're actually creating a processor. So in this try block, what we try to do is start processing. And then it keeps looking for messages until we press a key to stop it, right? So that's basically what we're doing in here. And then once we're done, we close the clients. Okay, so the processor here is actually going to be the message handler. So that's over here. So what does it do? Well, it basically gets the string of the message and then writes it out to the console. And then basically it says that the message is completed. So then the SDK will go and mark it as having been received. In case there's an error, then we just write it into the console. Okay, so this is how that. All right, let's try it out, right? Again, saving this and then running it in the terminal. One, two, three. All of the messages came in, and then when I press a key, it will stop the receiver. All right, so now if we go back to the message queue, we're still in peaking, and we want to peak from start. There are no messages available anymore because they were processed and thus removed from the queue. So that's how this works with the queues available in Service Bus. Thanks for listening, and see you in the next lab. Till then.